together now. So this section is a little bit technical, but I think it might fall into sales as well. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So we speakers and the applications. Okay, there are lots of speakers available on the market, plenty of speakers. Let's take a good example of car audio. People go sound crazy. Here I've seen people, I've heard people on the freeway flying, but I can hear them probably 500 meters behind me. And you can hear by the time he pushes past you, it's like the whole freeway is vibrating. Okay. So here people do serious sound. I'm not sure about the Nigerian market. I know about East Africa, Kenya. They are super crazy about sound in cars. Okay. But you take a car speaker, a car DVC, subwoofer, you put it in a hole, you push out your amplifiers, you rock your music, you'll be chased out of that venue. They will tell you this is crap, doesn't work. Okay. Same thing. If you are going to take a line array here, for example, for argument's sake, and to try and mount it inside your car in the bass bin, man, that would be interesting. Okay, so speakers are generally manufactured for different applications. There are too many categories of music setup, mostly for foreground music or for background music. So for office applications, most PA applications, if I may say, most voice alarm applications, wherever we're dealing with music in a PA music in a voice alarm application, mostly it is background music. So background music is music that you can literally have playing in your speakers in your office and still be able to carry on with a meeting, still be able to do your normal day-to-day work. That is background music. Foreground music, this is Davido doing his live show. Okay, you can't even answer a cell phone. You don't even care that somebody's phoning you because you are right in front of that video. You're doing the business of the day. This is foreground music. All right. Let's take a bit more. There are two classes of speakers. There are low impedance speakers and high impedance speakers. So this section that you are dealing with will be describing. So low impedance speakers are usually in the 2 ohm range, which is like your car DVCs, which is normally 2 voice coils of 4 ohm. Then if you connect them in parallel, they give you a 2 ohm, okay? And then you connect your monoblock. And then we have standard hi-fi or hi-fi at home. It's normally in the 4 ohm range, okay? So it's normally in the 4 ohm range. And then we have the standard one, professional audio speakers that we normally see as our line arrays in a live show, in a big church. These are standard 8 ohm. We do have a 16 ohm resistor speakers, 16 ohm impedance rated speakers. They're very rarely used in pro audio, but you do get them. You also do get them in 32 ohm, but these are very few indeed. All right, cool. So pro audio is the most common range is 4 to 8 ohm. This is very standard. In both the above classes, there are subtypes such as high frequency type, which is highs and tops, tweeters. Then we have what we call the mid-range for vocal lift, for mid-range, tenor, soprano. Then we have got your low frequencies for your bass and bass bands, your sub and bass bands. I love people when it comes to sound. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get it in. Okay, so we got right foreground music. We do have a wide range also of speakers that we supply for different applications. If you are going to be doing a hall or a church or a mosque, or you're doing a stadium, you are able to use some of these, what we call the medium range line arrays. So in the HX7 that I have on the picture, I have got 2 drivers per speaker. This is a speaker that can handle about 750 watts of power. I do have a bass bin specifically designed to work with the HX7. In this case, it's called an FB150, and these are meant for foreground music. This is strictly, so when we're talking of foreground music and we're talking of professional audio, okay? Professional audio we are strictly dealing with normally, we are strictly dealing with normally one speaker per one output. I think you guys already know we have had issues and instances where we have maybe a bridge mode. These guys who do a sound engineers here on the forum, you know about bridge mode, where you a 4-channel amplifier, if you put it in bridge mode, will give you 2 channels at double the power. Okay, so this is when we are talking of seriously high power, when we are using this kind of professional audio speakers, as well as these are for live venues, houses of worship, presentation halls, etc. These are normally 8-ohm speakers. And you will also notice when we were dealing with the commercial audio side of amplifiers, I was saying 30 speakers for a 30-watt amplifier. For example, 120 speakers for a 120-watt amplifier. In pro audio, it's always an amplifier or 2 amplifier outputs in bridge mode per speaker. And you use thicker grade. We normally use thicker grade oxygen-free cables for our installations, but with PA systems. And these cables must be short, preferably within 10 meters from the amplifier to the speaker. And if you are rocking up serious music, if you touch that cable after a while, it warms up because it pushes a lot of heavy current into the speakers. Right. Let's talk about pro audio. Commercial audio. Commercial audio is completely different. You find these speakers in our malls, in our airports, in our public areas, outside our halls, outside mosques. We do find horn speakers. These are 100-volt speakers. These are high impedance speakers. Some of them, like the horns, are not designed to play music. Some of them, like the box speakers, have got a very good frequency response. They can play good sound when you're playing music. So it is very important that if you are doing an installation at a mall, or somebody has approached you to say, come and design my sound for the mall, you need to be careful to ask them, are you going to be playing music? Yes or no? Are you going to do voice lift just for microphones? Do you want to play messages? So we can give you the right speakers that will deliver. It's critical. All right. So these are basically for background music and vocal lift. As I've told you, don't play music into the normal standard horn speaker. We do have what we call musical horn speakers that have a lot of frequency response that can play music through them. Right. Let's take a look. Main difference between public address and pro audio speakers. One of the main differences, background music speakers, PA speakers do come with a transformer to allow for it for different tapping choices. This is, you've heard me from the beginning. Tapping at. Most common tappings are 6 watt, 3 watt, 1.5 watt, sometimes 0.75, sometimes 1, sometimes 0.5. It depends on the manufacturer, depends on the speaker model range. These speakers also come rated in terms of voltage application. It will be you will be told this speaker is 6 watt at 100 volt. But if you decide to tap the speaker at 6 watt at 70 volt, it becomes a 3 watt speaker. So when you are buying speakers from TOA, we will give you a guide that please tap the speakers at this level. And we'll tell you on the amplifier, if there's a 70 volt option, use the 100 volt option. Okay. All public address EVAC speakers have these tappings. Effectively, the associated amplifiers are also rated in voltage and watts. For example, 2240 watts at 100 volts. So you will see our A series, A2240, it will be saying 240 watts at 100 volt series. Only the watt that is chosen as the tapping determines how much power the speaker draws from the amplifier. Right, let's try and clarify this a little bit. It's not really sales. Just on the technical side, we'll cover more detail tomorrow. What it means is, if you have 240 speakers on your speaker line and they're all tapped at 1 watt, the first speaker grabs 1 watt. It doesn't care what happens to the rest. It says, I only want 1 watt. The next speaker will grab 1 watt. The next speaker will grab 1 watt. The next speaker, until the last speaker. So the speakers, when they're connected in a 100 volt line, they are connected in a star topology. They are connected in parallel configuration. The positive are always on the same line on the positive. The negative are always on the same line on the negative. That is very critical. Right, then we take a look at main difference between public address and the pro audio speakers. You guys have got some Wi-Fi's and hi-Fi's at home. You know the standard ones, Sony ones, the 5.1 stereo, stereo, the 7.2s, the 6.2s. Right. Pro audio speakers do come in 4 ohm for domestic range mostly, as well as 4 and 8 ohm for your commercial range. Sometimes 16 ohm, which is quite rare. It is possible to get these speakers in 2 ohm mode. This is for your for your sound in the car. Essentially, it usually takes 1 speaker per amplifier, right? The guys here love to braai. In SA, braaiing is a serious thing, and beer is also quite, it's quite serious. All right, let's talk about it. So you'll find on a Saturday morning, the guys are braaiing. They've got the Wi-Fi out. They start playing music, and they start drinking. Then a few hours later, they decide, no, the music does not sound good anymore. He asks his neighbor because he got the same Wi-Fi. He says, neighbor, since we're having a party, bring your speakers here so that you can double up on the speakers. So he comes to the back of the amplifier of the radio, doubles up the same amount of speakers, and he fires up the music, it plays. And after a while, the music might start distorting, or the amplifier will blow out. This is because each output of your amplifier on this music source is designed to be 4 ohm. So if you double up the speakers, that output is become a 2 ohm. Same on this one, if you double up, that output becomes 2 ohm. If you double up, that becomes 2 ohm. So essentially, instead of the amplifier seeing up a 4 ohm load per each output, it's going to see a 2 ohm load. So it's going to try and do what it's not supposed to do. So it's seeing a 2 ohm to this particular amplifier relates to almost a short second. Okay, so you'll have a problem. So please, when you are connecting speakers on the pro audio range, be sure that if you are doubling up the speakers, if you are paralleling up the speakers, be sure that you are effectively housing the speakers. 2 by 8 ohm in parallel gives you a 4 ohm. 2 by 4 ohm in parallel gives you a 2 ohm. So you need to be careful of how you are connecting these speakers. All right. Installation of PA speakers. TOA speakers have high SPL, which guys you should know. SPL means sound pressure level. This is the amount of sound that you hear in your eardrums as long as you are supplying that particular speaker with 1 watt of power and at 1 meter away. So for example, if I take this speaker from TOA, I can tell that if I supply it with 1 watt of power and I stand 1 meter away in my eardrums, I'm able to receive 80 dB. Okay, so for a successful installation, which is not part of our program, for a successful installation, one needs to understand the characteristics of SPL of that particular speaker. So this is where technical comes in. We are doing a model of a design of a model. Either you do the following: you do your speaker plotting via AutoCAD, for example, and you plot your speakers nicely, or as like me, I normally want to walk the site. So I walk the site, I have a feel of what the site requires, and then I know I can put so many speakers in this area. What is important to know is when you are installing speakers, the more you double the distance away from the speaker, you lose 6 dB. If you increase double the power into the speaker, you only gain 3 dB. Let's just do that, then we are done. If I am going to stand 1 meter away and I'm applying 1 watt of power into my speaker, I can listen, I will have 80 dB. But if I move another 1 meter away, I'm now 2 meters, I now double the distance that I was. If I stand at 2 meters away, I will only have 80 dBs minus 6. Now I'm sitting at 74 dB. What this means on the technical side, when you are installing speakers or when you are designing a system before sales court, is you need to know that is the further you go away from the speaker, the less the sound you are going to hear. All right. What it also means is when you are walking the site, you need an SPL meter to measure the existing ambient noise level of that particular site. So if your ambient noise level on that site is sitting at 70 dB, what it means is if I double the distance, I'm already on 74 dB. If I double again that distance to 4 meters away, I'm already below the 70 dB. What it means is my noise from that room will be higher than the noise coming, than the sound coming from the speaker. So effectively, I'm not going to be able to listen to what is coming on from the speakers. This is where, when we do sound design courses, we will give you hints and tips of how to effectively deal with this problem. All right. A standard TOA ceiling speaker, like the PC range, that's on the picture, normally does something like 6 by 6 meters, 36 square meters. If you're playing background music in an area in a standard height of 3 meters, which is our normal standard office heights or domestic heights, you do have TOA speakers can comfortably cover a 6 by 6 meter. If we are going to be using just these speakers to make microphone announcements, there's no music, you can even space them as far apart as 9 meters, 8 meters, 7 meters, depending on the budget involved. Okay, a TOA typical horn speaker, like you see on the minaret on the mosque, these are meant for loud and far broadcast of sound. Let's take an example. A typical TOA speaker, if it's a 6 watt, if I am to stand something like 316 meters away from the speaker, I can comfortably hear about 75 dB. If I am going to stand 1,000 meters, a kilometer from that one speaker, I can still comfortably hear 65 dB of sound. This is the reason why, ladies and gents, if there are any ladies, we don't recommend you that you put horn speakers inside the office place. You'll be asking for trouble. And number two, though you can put horn speakers in a manufacturing plant, we do recommend that. Or if you are putting for outside broadcast, we also do recommend that. Or if you are dealing with a mall, you are dealing with a hospital, you are dealing with a building that has got basement where they park cars, you can also put horn speakers in there. Never and always try and avoid having horn speakers anywhere else. Right. So for technical, when you are working with any site, please always have these instruments. We all work differently. You must always have an SPL meter. You cannot design a public address system effectively if you don't know the existing noise that is sitting in that particular area. Also, you can also have a distance meter. You can use a tape measure if you want, but you can also have a distance meter. This is to measure sometimes the size of the area so that you can come and use a TOA design code tool called SPV2 that allows you to put speakers in the design tool, and the speakers will give you about enough, will give you the coverage pattern. Then you will know in this design tool, I only need 6 speakers. In this room, I only need 2. In that room, I only need 20. All right.